Music Management podcast, your gateway to the cutting edge of innovation and the world of navigating the music industry as an indie artist. Join our hosts as they explore the latest trends in the industry, artist breakthroughs, IRM releases, and more on the IRM Music Management podcast, powered by Indie Roadmap.
All right, welcome to another deep dive, everybody. We're tackling the essential laws of marketing for independent musicians. It's a pretty hefty guide, but we're going to pull out those key insights that you can actually put to work.
Yeah, exactly. Consider this like a cheat sheet for navigating the music world, really focused on you guys, independent artists, no need to get lost in the weeds.
Right, just straight to the point. And, things change so rapidly in music, so really understanding those core marketing principles can be a real game changer these days.
Absolutely. It's not just about making great music anymore,
Yeah.
You got to know how to connect with the people who are going to love it.
Totally. Okay, so looking at this guide, where does it say we should really begin?
It all starts with knowing your audience. And I mean really knowing them, like beyond just their age or where they live.
Right. It's more than saying, oh, my fans are mostly people in their 20s who live in cities, right? This guide is saying go deeper.
Exactly. Dig into their music tastes. What kind of stuff are they really into? What are their lifestyles like? Are they all about those big music festivals? Or are they more drawn to smaller, intimate shows?
I see what you mean. Like if you discover a lot of your fans love going to festivals, that could totally influence where you try to book your own gigs. Even the merch you design could be inspired by that.
Right. And think about where they're finding new music. Are they digging through record stores? Or are they all about streaming playlists and online platforms?
Yeah. And if they're mainly online, that's going to really shape how you approach your social media strategy, even your website.
Exactly. This deep understanding, that's your foundation. It informs everything. Your social media content, the types of venues you target, the whole message you're putting out there as an artist.
Okay, so picture this. You've got a good grasp of who you're trying to reach. What's the next big piece?
This guide calls it the law of leadership. And it basically says, don't try to get a bigger slice of the same old pie. Bake a whole new pie.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
It's not about being a tiny bit better than everyone else in a super crowded market. It's about carving out your own unique space, being the first to do something really special.
Yeah. Like instead of trying to be the best generic pop singer, be the only one who's, blending folk music with electronic sounds in your region or something like that.
Exactly. Or maybe you're the one leading the charge for eco-friendly merch in your genre, or the first in your town to really tour consistently, or always be putting out fresh tunes. The guide mentions all sorts of possibilities.
So what I'm hearing is, instead of struggling in an already crowded market, the real power is in making your own market.
Absolutely. It's a whole different way of thinking. Find that unmet need, that unexplored musical avenue, and become the leader there.
Love it. All right, you've got your unique thing figured out, you know your audience. Now, how do you actually get in front of those people?
The guide introduces this concept called the marketing rule of sevens. Basically, it means people need to see your stuff, like multiple times before they really become fans. Think of them as touch points.
7 touch points, that's the general idea. And it really highlights the importance of using different channels to get your music and your brand out there.
Definitely. You can't just rely on one social media platform anymore. You got to diversify. The guide even mentions that email marketing is still huge. Like a whopping 80% of successful artists use it, they say.
80%, wow. So in this world of constant digital noise, what makes email so effective?
It's all about building that direct connection. Newsletters let you share updates on your music, announce upcoming shows, before anyone else, even give fans a peek behind the scenes. It's a more personal touch.
Makes sense. And of course, social media can't be ignored. But this guide does a good job of breaking down how each platform is different.
Right. Instagram is great for that visual storytelling, daily updates, showcasing your style. TikTok has the potential to go viral and reach completely new audiences, with those short, catchy videos. And then Facebook's still a powerhouse for promoting events and building more structured communities around your music.
It's not about just being on everything for the sake of it. It's about knowing how to use each platform strategically to create those touch points and reach potential fans in different ways.
Yeah.
This really aligns with your need for that efficient, targeted approach to knowledge.
Totally. You got to be intentional with where you're spending your energy. It's quality over quantity.
Okay, this next idea really resonated with me. Create value beyond the music. It really makes you think about what you're offering beyond just the sound.
It's a cool perspective shift. Like, yes, your music is at the heart of it all, but you, the artist, are the ultimate brand. The music is almost like the tool to promote you and your whole creative world.
I see what you mean. It's not just about pushing out songs, it's about the whole experience you're creating for your
You
fans.
got it. So think about how you're adding value with every interaction, sharing behind the scenes moments, talking about your songwriting process, maybe even offering exclusive content or experiences for your most dedicated fans. Think Patreon, special live streams, things like that.
So it's about building a deeper connection, offering something more than just the finished tracks. Make them feel like they're part of the journey, not just passive listeners.
Exactly. Give them a reason to invest in you, not just the music itself.
Now, this next one, the law of focus. Own your musical identity. This feels especially important nowadays, with so much music out there.
Yeah, totally. It's about cutting through the noise by really defining yourself. Choose a word or concept that captures your essence. The guide uses examples like, conscious rapper or sustainable singer-songwriter.
It's almost like claiming your spot, They
Yeah,
even compare it to big brands. Apple is innovation, Volvo is safety. What's that one idea that people instantly associate with you?
good point. It can't just be any random word, right? The guide lays out some criteria. It needs to be authentic to you, memorable to your audience, different from what everyone else is doing, and sustainable over the long haul.
That last part is key. It can't be a fleeting trend. It has to be something true to you that can resonate with people for years to come. They even give an example, like if you're all about music that speaks to small town life, that immediately tells people what you're about.
Absolutely. And there's even some interesting data which shows that artists, especially in genres like country and pop, they do way better when they have a clear focus. More engagement, more bookings, particularly as they build their careers.
Makes sense. Having that identity helps you stand out. Okay, but how do you actually put this focus into practice?
The guide gets into the nitty-gritty. It talks about aligning your focus with your genre. Like if you're a solo artist, and IRM data shows a ton of independent musicians are, think about how you label yourself. Are you an intimate storyteller? An acoustic truth teller? It sets the tone right away.
Yeah, and it talks about consistency too. Like that focus needs to be reflected in everything, your stage presence, your social media posts, the way you talk to the press, even your set lists.
That's how you reinforce that message at every touch point. They give an example of an artist focused on being a nostalgic connector, so they make sure to sprinkle in throwback songs during their sets, playing to that feeling. IRM data backs this up, saying it really works with audiences.
So you're always making intentional choices that support your overall identity. But how do you know if your focus is hitting the mark?
The guide talks about tracking things like fan engagement, how many shows you're booking, social media growth, even if your merch aligns with your concept. If those things are going well, it's a pretty good sign.
I see. It's not just about picking a word, it's about weaving it into everything you do. So having a clear focus, it doesn't box you in. It usually makes you more memorable, more likely to be that go-to artist for a specific type of music or feeling.
You nailed it. It's a way to build real loyalty and attract the right opportunities.
So we've talked about knowing your audience, carving out your niche, and owning your identity. And the guide builds on all of that with the idea that consistency is key, building trust through reliability.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. There's just so much out there competing for attention. Being consistent in your visuals, on social media, in your musical style, that builds trust. It shows fans and industry folks that you're serious, you're professional, you're reliable.
It's about creating a brand they can rely on. They see your logo, your Instagram feed, and they instantly know it's you and what to expect. The guide even mentions using tools from those artist platforms, like maybe what IRM offers, to keep everything cohesive online.
Super helpful. So they break down consistency into a few areas. First is brand consistency. Think visual stuff, profile pictures, colors, logo placement, keep it the same everywhere.
But it goes beyond just looks, right? It's also about how you communicate. Keep your tone and message consistent across social media, emails, even in interviews. It's all part of telling a cohesive story. The guide gives examples, like setting a regular posting schedule, aligning your messaging on different platforms. Those things add up.
Right. And then there's performance consistency. They actually mention data suggesting that artists who play more gigs, especially early on, tend to build a stronger fan base. But, of course, it's not just about quantity. It's the quality of those performances, too.
Yeah, bring the energy every single time, keep things professional, have a consistent structure to your sets. And that goes for engaging with fans at those shows, too. Have a system for that, maybe a sign-up sheet or something like they mentioned, fan capture. IRM data highlights how important this is for building lasting connections, saying that artists who book a good number of shows early on, something like 15 to 20 in those first 3 months, see much better fan retention.
Makes sense. You're showing up, you're connecting, you're building those relationships.
Consistency isn't just about shows, though, right? It's about putting out new music regularly, keeping up with your social media posts, sending out those newsletters like clockwork. Even reaching out to venues for bookings consistently shows that you're serious about your career.
Don't forget the business side either. Responding to those booking inquiries promptly, keeping your press kit up to date, being organized with your merch, even having a consistent work schedule for yourself. It all adds up to that image of professionalism.
The guide even suggests using tools to help with all of this, like, calendar apps, social media scheduling, things to organize your fan database. The key is having systems in place so you can be consistent without getting overwhelmed.
Totally. So, how do you know if you're nailing the consistency game?
The guide says look at things like fan engagement on social media, your success rate with booking gigs, how your online following is growing, how well your email campaigns are doing, even the data you get from those fan interactions at your shows. That's all valuable feedback.
Basically, you're looking for signs that it's all working, that your efforts are paying off.
The big takeaway here is that consistency isn't about being predictable and boring. It's about being reliably excellent. And the guide even mentions that consistent effort often leads to, like, tangible financial gains within a few months. They mention a typical increase of $600 to $1,200 per month after 6 months of consistent work. That's pretty motivating.
It is. And you're not just building trust with fans, you're building trust with anyone you're working with in the industry.
Right. Now, this next part really caught my attention. The law of perception. Shape your story. This feels particularly relevant these days when people can sniff out fakeness a mile away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is a really interesting one. It says that how fans perceive you, your music, your whole vibe, that can be even more important than, like, the technical perfection of your recordings. It's about crafting a story that people connect with on an emotional level.
It's about understanding that, yes, the music is essential, but the story behind it, your journey, your inspirations, your values, that's what draws people in and builds that deep connection. This guide really stresses the power of authentic storytelling.
Totally. And they break it down into two main areas.
Yeah.
First, behind-the-scenes authenticity. Share those real, unfiltered moments from your life as an artist, the good, the bad, the struggles, the triumphs. Let people see the human behind the music.
And then genuine fan connections. They even share some pretty compelling data from IRM showing that artists who focus on those genuine connections, maybe through personalized interactions or those fan capture tools, they tend to see better results, higher tips at shows, longer fan retention, more engaged audiences during those performances. IRM found, on average, artists who emphasize authentic connection retain about 35% of their fans.
So basically, making that effort to connect with people on a personal level, that really does pay off.
The guide then gives some practical ways to build that genuine perception across all your platforms. In your live shows, be authentic, share the stories behind your songs, connect with individual fans, and again, use those tools to keep those connections going after the show.
And on social media, it's about being real and unfiltered. Respond to comments when you can. Show people your creative process. Keep posting consistently, but don't make it feel forced or fake. They suggest aiming for about 4 times a week.
It's about striking that balance, being present without being overwhelming.
Right. So when it comes to actually creating content, document your journey naturally. Share your highs and lows. Be true to your vision and let your personality shine through. Don't try to be someone you're not.
And in those interactions with fans, those little things matter. Respond to messages personally, remember names, follow through on any promises you make, and be genuine in your appreciation for their support.
And that same approach extends to how you work with venues and other industry folks. Honest, authentic communication is crucial for building those long-term relationships.
So how can you tell if you're successfully shaping that perception?
They say to look at things like fan engagement across your platforms, how your show attendance is trending, your merch sales, the quality of those interactions on social media, or people leaving thoughtful comments or just clicking like, and of course, the direct feedback you get from fans. That's all valuable data.
So you're looking for those signs that people are connecting with your story, with the real you, and the benefits of building that genuine perception, those are long-term. Stronger loyalty, more consistent booking opportunities, better relationships in the industry, basically a more sustainable path for your career.
You got it. They make this great point, too. They say, in a world that's really good at spotting fakeness, Being yourself isn't just feel-good advice, it's a smart business move. Your authentic voice, your story, that becomes your unique brand, something no one else can replicate.
Love that. Okay, moving on. The guide briefly mentions the law of differentiation. It's a reminder to really pinpoint what makes you stand out, whether it's your performance style, your songwriting, your connection to a certain community, your unique selling proposition, as they say.
And that ties directly into the next idea, which is all about engagement, not just constantly trying to sell your music. Build real relationships with your fans by responding to them, creating interactive content, making them feel like a part of your journey.
And of course, you can't really get better if you don't know what's working. The guide emphasizes using analytics, like those insights you get from streaming platforms and social media, to track your progress, see what's resonating with people, and refine your strategy accordingly.
Data is your friend. And finally, they talk about the law of sacrifice. Basically, it's about being strategic with your energy. You don't have to be on every single platform doing every single thing.
Focus on what actually works best for you, your music, your target audience.
Right. No need to spread yourself too thin.
So taking a step back and looking at everything we've covered from the essential laws of marketing for independent musicians, it becomes clear that successful marketing isn't about rigidly following some cookie-cutter formula. It's about understanding these core principles and adapting them to your own unique journey as an artist. It's about building a genuine connection with your fans, a connection that can grow and evolve right alongside you.
That's it. It's about being strategic, staying true to yourself, and showing up consistently for your audience.
It's been a really insightful deep dive. Now, thinking about everything we've discussed, especially those ideas of focus and perception, here's a question for you, our listener. What's that one core concept that really sums up your unique musical identity? And how can you make sure it's woven into everything you do, from the music you create to how you present yourself online and on stage?
In building on that, think about how these marketing principles can actually inform and enhance your creative process. How can knowing your audience and owning your brand make the music you create even stronger and more impactful?
Great questions to consider. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.